What's going on, y'all? It's Kai.
Yo, it's Conklin.
You know what I mean? We coming back at y'all with another video, man. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be talking about, these past games that happened this past weekend, man. Listen, it was a hell of a weekend, you know what I
Talk
mean?
about it, man.
We gonna be
Yeah, it's
spoiling y'all,
crazy.
man. This gonna be a two video week, man. So be on the lookout
Mm-hmm.
for our next video. We've been talking about, you know what I mean, some of our favorite cornerback prospects, you know what I mean? So, stay on the lookout for that. But let's not waste no time. Let's get right into it. You know what I mean? No bullshit.
Yes,
So
sir.
you know what I
So
mean? Let's start off with this Chiefs game, man.
yeah, man. So like you said, championship weekend. First game that popped up that day. It was Chiefs versus Ravens. Of course, if you guys watched the game or just looked at the score, Chiefs won 17-10. That said, I'm gonna just get it started. Uh, the main takeaway I took away from this game was what the fuck the Ravens offense was doing, man. Like it was just horrible. It was such a pain to see. Like the Ravens offense was not the Ravens offense, right?
No.
Like when you're talking about a team that has a number one rush offense, and I don't care how good that interior of the Chiefs D line is or anything, right? But you got the number one rush offense, and if you give only like what 3 carries to Gus Edwards or whatever, it's talking about like 6 rushes or something in total to your running backs. That's
Mhm.
crazy. That is insane. That's like you literally gave the game to the Chiefs once you don't stop running, right?
Mhm.
And like the thing with the Chiefs is that I'll give them credit because like the past 2 games that they play, or was it 2 or 3? I think it was 3. Wait, is it 3 games? Yeah, it was 3 games.
Mhm.
All the 3 games that they played, right? They know they don't really have the best, um, I guess like rush offense, but what they've been doing is that they've been willing to run,
Yeah.
right? Whether like I said, in the playoffs, right? It doesn't matter of how many yards you get. It's a matter of you being willing to actually run the ball, chip the clock, and actually be efficient with it in that sense, right? And so like in this game, it was telling. I mean, the Ravens defense they held them to what, like 2.5 yards on the ground, right, each time, but
Mhm.
they ran the ball like what, almost like 30 times or something
Yeah.
like that. And then not only that, I mean, once you keep on running the ball, you get torched by Kelsey. Kelsey had a great game. I mean, shout out to Kelsey. He broke the record for the most receptions in a playoff game. I mean, playoff in general,
Career.
playoff
Yeah.
history. Yeah, and so yeah, the main thing is that the Ravens just their offense is so bad. Like they just they shit the bed. They shit the bed that day, man. And then a lot of people want to talk about the defense, but come on, they shut out the Chiefs in the second half, man. The Ravens, like you talk about a lot of things about how Zay Flowers. Yes, he had a great game, but in certain moments, you just can't do like silly stuff like that. Especially you caught the ball taunting. You can't do that. You just can't. Like I get it. Yes, players should get the I guess like the express their emotions, but you just know, like it was blatantly right in front of the ref, man. You can't do that shit. And then on that same series, right? You get another chance. Lamar throws it. He trusts you again, right? Gets you to the goal line, and he dives. Granted, he's in the air, right? But he fumbled,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
He fumbled, right? So there's 2 big costly plays on that same drive, right? No matter, I don't care how good of a good game he is, but he has the whole game. But in those moments, you just can't do that, right? And then I'll just say one more thing. Although I don't think this game falls on Lamar,
Mhm.
but you also have to think about like there's certain moments where he could have ran for like
Yeah.
yards, right? And then you also have to talk about like, yo, you gotta get the ball out. You can't just stay there. Like if you're gonna be in the pocket and just pass all day, you can't just stay in the pocket. You gotta either move around to help your receivers if they're not going open, right? Or just scramble, right? That's I mean, well, like it or not, that's your best part of your game. This is why you're getting paid the bag, right?
Mhm.
Because of what you can do with your legs, man. And him not him throwing in like triple coverage to what Isaiah Likely, you can't do that, man. You just can't.
No.
He was just forcing things. And, you can say the pressure got to him at that point, right? And he was frustrated, obviously frustrated. But
Mhm.
like I said, I feel like if there's anybody to point to, falls on to the offensive coordinator because I do not know what he was doing. So,
Hmm.
but then again, it goes hand in hand. But you know, that's what I gotta say. What do you think, Kai?
I mean, you essentially hit the nail on the head. You know what I mean? Like this was the definition of beating yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know what it is, right? Like teams used to do this back in the day with the Patriots, and it was a little bit different because Bill Belichick would take away what you do best and make you adjust. But the Chiefs didn't do that, right? The
Mm-hmm.
Ravens just I don't know if it was the offensive coordinator trying to flex his muscle. I don't know if it was Lamar trying to prove people wrong. I don't know what it is, but there should be no reason why Lamar Jackson is throwing the ball almost 40 times and only
Insane.
running it 8. That doesn't make any sense. That will never work. That's not what got you there. You know what I'm saying? Like when we talked about the Lions game, you know what I mean? A lot of people were go, but you got to do what got you here. If it was
Mm-hmm.
working all year, why wait until the biggest game of the season to switch it up? That'll never work.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like you said, Gus Edwards had like 3 carries and at
Mm-hmm.
least 2 of them came in the first quarter. Like what are we
Yep.
doing? And one of them he ripped off for like a 15-yard run. I don't know what they were seeing that made them get away from that, right? Because outside of losing the turnover battle, 3
Mm-hmm.
turnovers in a playoff game, again you're beating yourself, and there's you cannot put any hate on this Ravens defense because, like you said, they
Yeah.
shut them out the second half, even the first
Exactly.
half. The Chiefs had to fight for every yard they got,
Mm-hmm. And
right?
most of the points they got was in the first quarter.
A lot of it was the first quarter. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like they again once it hit second half, they had everything on lock. The Chiefs couldn't do anything with the
Yep.
ball. And like to your point about Zay Flowers, like that taunting call can't happen. I get it. You're young guy and all this, but if you're on a championship caliber team, this is where your leaders have to step up. You know what I'm saying? This is where everybody has to be made aware of the magnitude of the moment. I don't care, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially against this team, man. We already know that they try to get under your skin. They try to get you to
Yep.
act out of your character. You have to be calm, cool, and collected and play your game, right? I can't be I can't be too mad at the fumble, right? Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, he was trying to make a play. You know what I mean? I know you're taught not to reach, but listen, man, it's the AFC Championship, right? Who's to say if he doesn't reach that they don't. Who's to say they score, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
we now we're looking back on it like, damn, maybe Zay Flowers should have reached it for the goal line. You know what I mean? And shit happens. It's football. But
Mm-hmm.
the bigger issue was that taunting call that you cannot. That
Yes.
was
Yeah.
completely in your control. That was you getting outside of yourself. That was you. That was a selfish moment. Like you can say what you can say this, you can say that, but that was a selfish moment because if you're thinking I'm trying to win this game, I'm trying to win this game for my team, I don't care about a catch. Right now, we're losing right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about a big play. I'm trying to win the game. You feel me?
Yeah.
And I listen. I won't even speak on the Chiefs because, to be quite honest, they were handed this game. And
Mm-hmm.
if I am on that Ravens team, especially if I'm on that offense, I'm kicking myself in the ass this entire offseason because you handed them this game. Whether it's a player, whether it's coach, there should be no reason why Isaiah Pacheco is getting 24 carries, but Lamar Jackson and Gus Edwards is getting combined not even 15. That doesn't make any sense. Not even half, not even about half the amount of carries that Isaiah Pacheco had himself. And like you said, he ran the ball 24 times, but he only averaged 2.6 yards per carry.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, like when you're in the playoffs, you have to be balanced, right? Unless you
Mm-hmm.
are so overwhelming in one way or the other, you have to at least have some level of threat of the run, right? And that's what the Chiefs did. They owned the time of possession by almost 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like when you turn
Mm-hmm.
the ball over 3 times, when you don't stick to what got you there, when you lose the time of possession, the fact that you guys only lost by 7 points is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But that just goes to show, like I really do believe the Ravens were the better team. I feel like they just psyched themselves out of it and they beat themselves.
And yeah,
You know what I
man.
mean?
And just real quick, just to bounce off of that, like you know, in these playoffs, what we've seen is that like you know, sometimes the best team don't win. You just gotta be the best team on that day,
Mhm.
right? And that's the beauty of the playoffs because that's where you can have upsets. You can have like close games or crazy comebacks or whatever, right? You got to play a full 4 quarters, right? And so, yeah, I mean, yes, the Ravens they were the better team. I think everybody can say that Ravens are definitely the better team, right? But you like one when you're not playing your own game on offense, and when you're turning over the ball to a quarterback that you cannot turn over the ball and give him more possessions
Mhm.
because either he's going to run out that clock with the running game or he's going to go out there and make some plays, right?
Mhm.
We're talking about a quarterback that's going to his third Super Bowl. No, fourth Super Bowl. My
Fourth
fault.
Super
Fourth
Bowl.
Super Bowl. And that's crazy, man. And it goes to show that like people were talking about, oh, if Lamar Jackson, beats Patrick Mahomes and goes to the Super Bowl, what pedestal can we put him at? Maybe
Mhm.
on par with Patrick Mahomes, but with this game, him not winning the game, right? So and and you can say some of the blame is on him, right? I
Mhm.
mean, he's the quarterback. That the game's a game, right? But him losing, there's no more comparison right now. Yes, he will have the MVPs, but you're not going to show up in the playoffs. Like yes, you won against the Texans, sure, but they're a young team, mind you. They were just picking number 2 last year, last
Mhm.
draft, right? So yes, you are expected to beat them, of course, right? But when you play against a team that you know, quite honestly, like you said, they're inferior to you,
Yes.
right? But you shot yourself in the foot, right? And that's plainly how it is, right? And it sucks for Lamar because you know this is probably his best chance to win a Super Bowl,
Yes.
right? Yes, because when you look at the whole like this year for the AFC, right? This is probably the weakest AFC since he's entered the league,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like when the Chiefs, quite honestly, their offense they've been shaky throughout the whole year,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, have they turned it on in the playoffs? Yeah, a little bit here and there, right? But you can still see that their struggles are still kind of there, right? But they're just micromanaging, trying to be balanced though. But like you said, by running the ball,
Mhm.
right? And so this is where I do, give the Chiefs some type of credit, um, in the sense that you know, their offense, they knew what they had to do, right? They knew what they had to do, right? That's the thing, right? Burn the clock and make plays. Hit
Mhm.
for Travis Kelsey. Use the motions, right? Everything they did on offense was perfect. They had the perfect game plan, right? Because that Ravens defense, you're talking about one of the all time defenses, right,
Yeah,
man?
when you talk about talent and statistics, like again, like I said last video, like if they were able to cap this off with a championship, like we really have to have that conversation. Like, is this the best defense we've seen since the Legion of Boom, right?
Yeah.
And just off pure talent, I still stand on that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
just in that second half, they showed that. But the issue when it comes to the playoffs and really, the difference in this game was the Ravens didn't act like they've been here before, if that makes sense. I
Mm.
know they haven't been there before, but this is where the difference in experience really comes into play.
Yep.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because I feel as though just mentally they just weren't there, right? Because
Mm-mm.
like you said, the Chiefs knew what they had to do. They
Yeah.
had a game plan. They stuck to it from kickoff to when the fat lady was singing. And the Ravens, I feel like they were scrambling. At least on
Mm-hmm.
offense, they were scrambling. So
Yeah.
it's definitely something that Dan Campbell said about the Lions. Like it's gonna get twice as hard to get to the same spot next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this year, like you said, the AFC was weaker. It was a lot of injuries. It was a lot of a lot of down seasons. So next year, like that division is not gonna get any easier. You know what I mean? With Joe Burrow coming back and whatever, the Browns and the Steelers do, that
Yeah,
division's not
man.
going to get any easier. So getting back to the 1 seed, getting back to an AFC championship is not going to be easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a long off season. They got a lot of guys that potentially could be going into free agency. And this is, I say good teams usually have about 2 to 3 year window, right? You get some of the outliers where they'll last a little longer. You get some of the outliers where they're 1 year, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I really do feel like this was at least, just looking at it right now, this was Lamar Jackson's, best, shot at a Super Bowl, like you said. And I'll finish off with this. One of the things I hate when it comes to quarterbacks is the fact that wins and losses are put as a quarterback stat and not a team stat, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I will say this: wins and losses don't really matter to me. What matters to me is how you win and how you lose, right?
Right.
I'm not going to say that it was Lamar Jackson's fault why they lost this game, right? But I will say he was a part of it. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And
100%.
it'd be one thing if he had a performance like last week, but they lost, because then I
Right.
would still stand on and be like, okay, he's still in that conversation. But the
Mm-hmm.
way he played in the AFC Championship game is the problem. Where okay, now he goes from clear cut number two to okay, he's top five. We can have a conversation about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it may not seem like a big deal, but like you said, with the AFC getting stronger next year, NFC, obviously the NFC gets stronger. It's going to be interesting to see what conversations we have, next season. But with that being said, let's switch it back to NFC, man. Let's talk about your squad, man.
Man, oh man. This this game had me fucking shaking, bro. Like I was ass clenching, fucking nails biting, praying to God and shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what a fucking comeback, man! And here, I'll say this up front. Did the Lions give us the game? Yes, sure, you could say that, right? But at the end of the day, right? Your players gotta show up, right? Yeah, yes, your defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator is gonna call whatever, right? But you know, you just gotta play. You just gotta play, man. And this is what I'll say, man. This man, fucking Brock Purdy. One thing that I've learned, and I've always like had a hesitancy to say this, right? But the poise that this man has when we're down or up is just amazing, right? You're talking about a quarterback that coming back. He's faced through adversity. He had surgery. He had surgery on his UCL or whatever, right?
Nobody's talking about that.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy. He's not even getting, I guess, like comeback player of the year. Conversations. But anyways, he's coming back from an injury. He's expected to miss some of the season. Comes back 3 months early, heading to training camp, and quite frankly, it was in a QB competition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shows that he's a QB1, right? Then first game against the Steelers, we all know the Steelers offense. I mean, not offense. They're trash.
Defense. Yeah.
Defense, yeah. The Steelers defense being good, especially at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Goes in there, balled out, and then look at the rest of the season. This man is talked about an MVP convo, right? Second MVP votes probably when it was all said and done, right? And then go to the playoffs. He leads 2 comeback wins, right? One, it's a 7.4 point comeback, whatever you want to say it, right? In the fourth quarter. And then you want to talk about a 24-7 deficit. Mind you, nobody has ever came back from 17 points or more in an NFC championship. Guess what? Brock Purdy fucking did, man. Brock Purdy fucking did. You talking about a quarterback in a second half that's never been done this before? I just found this out a couple days ago. A quarterback has never done this for the past 30 years, postseason and regular season, in one half, in the second half. Coming out 13 of 16, 80% or more passing completion rate, 150 passing yards, 52 yards on the ground, 0 turnovers, including a touchdown. Right? No QB has ever done that for the past 30 years. Postseason or regular season. And this is what I'll say again. When you talk about a football team where yes, you weren't bad. I mean, you weren't good in the first couple quarters, but when your time is called, you gotta show up,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the locker room, who are the ones to talk in the locker room? It was Bosa, Warner, and Purdy,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
that shows whatever the fuck they said in the locker room that they showed up and they showed up who they actually were in the second half,
Yep.
right? Getting the turnover, making the most of the turnovers. A lot of people want to say, "Oh, he had that lucky pass play." Mind you, that was also a penalty. That was a DPI. That
Mhm.
was a DPI. So no matter if it was intercepted, right,
Mhm.
or if whether it was intercepted or it was just a bad pass, we still had the ball in the same place,
Mhm.
right? People don't want to talk about that, right? And when we talk about iconic moments, that was an iconic moment,
It had to
right?
be.
Right, and then because we talk about the greats, right? Joe Montana. Let's talk about the catch game, right? Against the Cowboys. I don't think people recognize that in that game, Joe Montana. I'm pretty sure he had 2 to 3 interceptions and one fumble lost. He had a total of 3 to 4 turnovers in that game.
Mhm.
But guess what? We don't talk about that enough because you know what? He led them on a game-winning drive, right? And so when you win, a win masks all the bad stuff, right? And we don't talk about that ever later in history.
Listen, I mean, even if you go down, NFL history, you know what I'm saying? Like some of the, most clutch plays, some of the, the plays that we talk about to this day, whether it's the Edelman catch in the Super Bowl, whether it's the, David Tyree catch, whether it's, the Santana Holmes catch, in the corner. All of those plays, when you really just look at it, like without seeing the result, you say that's a bad throw. Like
Mm-hmm.
what is the quarterback thinking, right? But that's what it is, right? You have
Mm-hmm.
to take that risk when you're playing in these big games, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't. Sometimes you're not going to be able to win doing everything by the book. Sometimes you just have to,
Let it
backyard
rip.
football. Who wants it more? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Sometimes you have to take that chance. You know what I mean? Something I always say is no risk it, no biscuit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And plays like that, that is, we talked about it going to the playoffs. Like these are legacy defining games, right? When we talk about team success, when we talk about quarterback success, we talk about wide receiver
Mm-hmm.
success, whatever, right? And similarly, right, with Lamar, we're talking about Brock Purdy, where he is I believe the third youngest quarterback to ever start in a Super Bowl.
Yep.
If he is able to end this season with a Super Bowl ring, he doesn't even have to win Super Bowl MVP. There will be very interesting conversation to be had next season in terms of where do we rank this guy? Because
Mm-hmm.
now I don't know what you use against him. You know what I mean? Because and this is something I said in our group chat. If Brock Purdy was, the number one overall pick, if Brock Purdy was just a first
Talk
round
about
pick,
it, man.
I feel like the narratives that be used against him would not be used because the fact of the matter is nobody thought he would be this good, right?
Yeah.
So instead of giving him his flowers, it'd be like, damn, you came a long way, you faced a lot of adversity, and you proved the fact that we were all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
All these talking heads, what they want to do is flex their muscles, puff out their chest, and say, no, I wasn't wrong. This guy isn't as good as he really is showing. And at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, women lie, men lie, numbers don't. Film
Exactly.
doesn't. And
Mm-hmm.
I saw this video on social media, and this guy he was posting like some Brock Purdy slander. He posted like 5 touchdowns or whatever that were like screens. And one of the things that the guy that posted the video said in the comments, he was like, "I'm not gonna lie, you know." I had to watch all his touchdowns in order to get these clips. He was like he actually surprised me of how many throws he made this season that were mad impressive. And that's the thing. When you actually watch him play, when you
Mm-hmm.
actually do anything besides look at the stats, you can see this guy is the real deal. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm not saying that he's, the best guy to ever pick up a football, but he is a championship winning quarterback. He is a quarterback that can win you a game. And that's not
Mm-hmm.
easy to find. The fact that he was like we talked about before, the fact that he was Mr. Irrelevant and he's at this level now, he should be he should be the poster boy for the NFL, right?
Yeah.
NFL fans should be, the same way the same thing with Tom Brady. People should have been rooting for him and being like, "Damn, this is a guy that was never expected to do all this, and he's facing the odds." Like, what do we love in America? Underdog story. But
Exactly.
all I'm seeing is this is a bad matchup. I hate this matchup. This is not what I wanted. It's gonna be a boring Super Bowl, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't understand it. If you like football, if no, fuck that. If you love football, if you love this sport, you would not be saying that, right? And
Exactly.
I'm not gonna really come down too hard on casual watchers, because at the end of the day, that's the backbone of any sport, right? The
Yeah.
casual fan. But if you actually watch these games, right? Like you said, that's two comebacks, man, in the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs. Like, we're not talking about at the start of the season against bad teams. We're talking about against the best teams in the league. Two back-to-back comebacks to get his
Mm-hmm.
team into the Super Bowl, right? And of course, you're gonna need, your running back to do something. You're gonna need your O line to do something. You're gonna need your wide receiver to make a
It's
play.
complimentary.
But this is why football is the ultimate team sport, where you need
Exactly.
all 11 on the same page in order to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we seen guys, for example, like a 2016 Julio in the Super Bowl, where he's balling out of his mind, but everybody else is not on that same level, and they lose. Now, is that does that discredit everything Julio did? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
But this is why it is the ultimate team sport. If all 11 are not on the same page, you will lose. And, the best teams, they adjust at halftime.
Yep.
That's when you see how good is his coaching staff. Because the 9 times out of 10, whatever happens in the first half is different than what happens in the second half. And usually the team that wins is the team that adjusts the best in the second half. And that's where Kyle Shanahan, he put his flag on the ground and said, "I am one of the best coaches in the NFL." Right?
Mm-hmm.
He proved that, and this was something that was known beforehand. But this is where you can clearly see where, listen, I love Dan Campbell, but he got out coached,
Yeah.
right? We can talk about, the decision to do that, decision to do that, but at the end of the day, the players got outplayed, the coaches got out coached, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and then just really quick on like Dan Campbell, right? And so people want to blame about, oh, you should have took a field goal here, should have took a field goal here to tie game or take the lead, whatever, right? But at the end of the day, you got to understand the reason why the Lions are here is because Dan Campbell being aggressive, right? That's the nature of their team, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's done that when he first got here, and he's never going to give up on it, right? Because guess what? When you've been doing something and you stop doing it, especially going in for fourth down, the players going to start. Some of the players might start looking at you like, "Wait, you don't trust in us, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? And and that's the thing people got to understand, right? Because here's the thing. Yes, you. For example, let's say fine, they don't go for it on fourth down. Who says the kicker makes the field goal,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you never know, right? Because if we're playing,
No.
if we're playing the if game, then I could play the if game as well. Okay, if they didn't go on fourth down, then what if they don't make the field goal, right? And I just don't think that Dan Campbell can walk away from this game, win or lose, thinking that I didn't go for a fourth down that right there,
Yep.
right? You can't live with that, especially
No.
when you know your whole team this whole season has been the best fourth down converter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that said, it's just like you said, it's just crazy how much Brock Purdy has been getting hate and whatever, right? But at the end of the day, he has one more game, right?
Listen,
One
listen.
more
Like
game.
Kobe once said, the job's not finished.
Yeah.
The job's not finished, man. And you know, we'll leave it off that. You know what I mean? We'll kind of leave you guys with a little tease. We won't give you our predictions this week.
Yep.
You got to stay on the lookout for that video coming up. But you know what I mean? Again, like we say at the end of every video, man. We appreciate the support we've been getting, man. We appreciate you guys liking. We see you guys commenting. We see you guys
Mm-hmm.
sharing and viewing, and let's keep this going. Let's keep this rolling, man. And like I said, we're spoiling y'all this week. We got
Mm-hmm.
another video coming up this week,
Yeah.
so
Be
be
on the
on the
lookout.
lookout for that, man. But
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, catch you on the next one.
Yes, sir. Peace.